DFS slate breakdown for tomorrow's Memorial Tournament. Looks like a pretty well-stacked field. And I already did a build, which we'll get to. I don't think I'm going to be around for the late PGA Live lineup build, which I usually like to do late Wednesday nights. The plan is to be going out into the city. So let's see how that works. So what we're going to do, again, we're going to go through tier by tier and see who we like from a DFS perspective. And then we're going to try to, at the end, kind of wrap it up by reminding everybody who our favorites are. So I either win the tournament to come in top 5, top 10, top 20, have a little fun thing we do, and which 9K guys to miss the cut. Last week, it just couldn't get much worse. So let's see if we can improve upon it this week, for me at least.
Yeah, sounds good. Happy to go through it, and let's get your screen up and try and see if we can improve on some really bad week for me as well. We should have been kind of expected. I feel like the PGA Championship, the whatever.
Hang on, sir.
All right, well I'll go. Okay, I don't know why I just put a pause. There we go. So basically, for top level for me, I have it Rahm.
Sure. Can I call you back? Like half hour?
I have it Rahm Scheffler.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay. I have it Rahm Scheffler. Cantlay, Xander, Cantlay. I have as interchangeable basically, but that's the order I have the top guys.
Do you like them in general though?
I mean, I honestly feel like it's becoming a silly question when Rahm and Scheffler play whether or not we like them. They have to be in the winning lineup every single time basically. They never don't top 10 or top 5, and that's like a worst case. And everybody's like, well, you need them to win. I totally think that's a completely false logic. That's totally ridiculous that the most expensive player on your team has to win, because there's plenty of other guys you're going to play who have a chance to win also. There's just no way I'm not going to prioritize Rahm and Scheffler anytime we have a tournament when they're priced in the same realm as other people who aren't nearly as good as they are.
I have the top priced guys as being the top plays. So everybody from this range, looks to be really, really solid. And I actually have them rated kind of almost according to salary. Actually, that's not true. I have it rated Scheffler 1. Then I actually have Cantlay and Rahm kind of close for second. And then I have a little bit of a breakdown to Xander, and then I have a decent breakdown to Rory. The lack of ownership is very tempting, but that's the way I kind of have these guys ranked. And I actually, in my builds, I guess because of the other ranges, I'm actually not getting huge amounts of any of these guys. Now it's not like I'm Xing them out like I do sometimes, but it's not like I'm getting 40% of any of them. I'm getting like double digits in pretty much all of them, but it's not like I have like 35% of any of these guys. So I do think they're all good plays, but I think you could build lineups without them.
Yeah, my issue is, and I do have like some I was doing some non-Rahm Scheffler builds, and then I actually feel like it's really a mistake to end up with Cantlay and Schauffele though as your top spend, because you're really not saving that much. They're just small, like a small amount better than everybody else, and it's like we're like you get more savings on taking the guys in the tier down than you do get from taking them over Rahm or Scheffler. I just can't talk myself into that Rahm and Scheffler shouldn't be significantly the highest owned over all those guys. So maybe if I do skip those guys, I will jump down into the 9K range, which I like quite a bit. Because I do think Xander and Cantlay at the same ownership as Rahm and Scheffler, or close enough, and Rory significantly lower. Something about that doesn't quite feel right. So I'll have to revisit that one.
I'll tell you what's interesting. It's a comment that you made several times, kind of like as we're just kind of watching these events unfold. Scheffler and Rahm, if they have kind of off days, they're like 12th. It's and you see it. You see it happen all the time. Scheffler's in the woods, Scheffler's in the water, Scheffler's here, Scheffler's here. Scheffler can't do anything, and he's -4. You know, where if like Cantlay and Schauffele and Sander have bad days, they can like legitimately threaten to miss the cut. You know, I think it's a big deal, and it's not as if you can't find the money. So I kind of agree with your sentiment that if you have lineups with Cantlay and Schauffele together, I don't want to say you're doing it wrong, but it just feels as though if you're going to spend up for guys, you want like guys that you think are like legitimately going to win a decent amount of the time.
Between the two of them in their last, I think it's their last 30 tournaments, they've had between the two of them, they've finished outside the top 15 a combined 3 times, I think. It's just hard to ignore that. And like I said, you don't need them necessarily to win. You got the other guys in your lineup that you can win, that can win also. But I will be building some Scheffler and Rahm lineups this week for sure. Together. All right, 9K range sheets. What do you like?
All right. Let me just pull up because again I made builds too, so I want to like differentiate between who I like and who I played. I do like Tyrrell Hatton as my favorite of the 9K range. He's gonna be 15% owned-ish, which is fine. But I do like him, and I'm getting I would say quite a bit. But I'm getting like a decent amount of him. Let's just put it that way. More of my leverage is going to come from other ranges, and I'll kind of get to that in a little bit. But I do have Hatton as kind of my favorite of this range. The other one I would say is that Justin Thomas is, I guess, sort of on the lower owned side. Sungjae Im would be just legendary. You know what I mean? To miss the cut and then go up at 10% owned, and then.
I think we make way too much of this with him. He's pretty consistent. Like I would be very surprised if he didn't have a really good week here. I don't think there's anything. I honestly think that it's kind of crazy that if he finishes like 20th last week, he's probably like 30% owned.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
It's just a weird thing. Like he had a really bad round on Friday. Sorry, Sheets.
So I like Hatton and JT as my top 2 in the 9K range. I'll just kind of leave it at that. And oh, excuse me, and I do like Hovland as well at 9,700. So Hovland, Hatton, and JT are my 3 favorites.
Yeah, I have the same 3 favorites. This is Jason Day's course, right? Like this is like his home course, and I thought it was anyway. I've got to double check that, but if it really is his home course, I would have thought he would have gotten a little bit more love than he's getting.
He's not.
He's the only one. I'm not. Everybody is totally in play here. Sungjae and Fitz, who are going to be the lowest owned, could easily be the best plays here. Like they're bunched up, but I too tend to agree that I have it Hatton, Thomas, then Hovland. This course isn't like necessarily suited for Hovland, but nothing really has to be. He's really good. He's hitting his stride at the right time. But if you wanted to use a reason to fade him, this is not like something you want that accuracy, and he doesn't. It's just not entirely what he does, and he's not always great around the greens. Although he's definitely improved over the last couple months, but definitely something that could come back to haunt him. So. And one of these days, Morikawa will make us pay. I think it's just going to be hopefully it's another week for me because I'm not going to be on him this week much. What do you got in the 8K range?
Yeah, I mean, they all look pretty like kind of decent. If I had to rank them, like if you account for ownership, I think that Spieth is probably my favorite. And then if you don't count ownership, it's going to be between Ricky and Corey Connors for me. But I would say that the rest of the 8K.
But all those guys should be basically the same owned, right?
That's what yes, I have Spieth at about 11 compared to Ricky like 16. Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe I'm splitting hairs. I mean, they're all going to get some ownership. I mean, Connors always gets owned, so maybe 15%. I would say also. I mean, again, I don't want to play everybody, but. Cameron Young, if he gets ignored this week because he had one bad day, I don't know. And then again, I have to cut it off somewhere, so I guess I'll just cut it off there. Shane Lowry at 15%. I guess he's a little bit too owned for me. But overall, again, this is why a lot of my builds are not going to have these 10Ks and up. Is because like all these guys look like pretty decent plays. But again, just for the purposes of the show, I'm gonna rank them Spieth and Fowler and Corey Connors.
Yeah, I have almost the exact same actually. I have Spieth, Connors, Fowler in that order. I think it's the one though that like is one of those like you worry about Monday morning and quarterbacking yourself. God, am I really playing Ricky Fowler at basically the same price as Cam Young, Hideki, and Sam Burns? Now Ricky's been in good form, don't get me wrong, but I think all three of those guys are significantly better golfers than he is. If you just want to take it just raw golfers, I think they're a lot better. I don't think they're even that close. So it is kind of interesting, the idea of maybe getting some of those guys, but I have it the same way you do. I have it Spieth, what's his name, and then Connors, then Fowler. I do think Adam Scott at 8K is also kind of interesting, along with Shane Lowry. But I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to play everybody. But those would be the next two for me.
Okay.
All right, down from 75 to 79.
Are we're including 75?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, this is where I have two guys that I have probably the most leverage relative to ownership. Three guys actually one I'm just kind of more with the field. So in descending order, my fourth favorite is going to be Keegan Bradley at 7,800. I have him at about 20% ownership, and he's going to probably be about 10. So I guess that's worth something. Then I have like a full 30% of Tom Kim. He's going to be owned, but not 30%, right? So I have him at about 14% owned. So I got good leverage there. And then it's a little scary just because he's not the kind of guy I play a lot, but I'm getting a lot of Matt Kuchar this week at 7,500. I currently have 25% of him at about, projecting about 10% ownership, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But my highest owned golfer, like in my whole board, and he's going to be somewhat popular, I guess, but I'm going to go back to my old model guy and Russell Henley. He just makes everything work for me. And that's just where I'm at. So I currently right now have 37% of Russell Henley. And so between Henley, Kuchar, Kim, and Bradley, those are like four of my top leveraged guys overall on my whole board.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm high on Kim, not quite as high as you are on Bradley, but I'm fine with it. I like the 7,500. I like Kuchar fine, and I think he's low enough to play him. I do think that it's interesting to think about Horschel here. He won this tournament last year and is getting completely ignored at 7,500. I don't care about how bad his form has been. I think that at 7,500, it's sort of baked into that, and the fact that he's going to be unowned on top of it. I could see Horschel, and by the way, he's been a little bit better each week, even though he's still playing poorly. So I do think that there's an argument for taking a stab at Horschel, Harris English. I actually think that Horschel, McCarthy, Kim will be my three highest owned. I like Denny McCarthy this week. All right, 7K to 7,400 sheets.
Yeah, I don't have too much. I mean, I have a couple of guys that I'm getting like 10% of, but like nothing great. The guy I have the most of right now is in this range is Adam Hadwin at 16% right now, and compared to about 5% ownership. So there's that. And the next guy I have is kind of, again, just double ownership, but not a big deal. Is I have like 12% of Brian Harmon, and then the other guy I have is Chris Kirk. Wait, I got another. Sorry, Chris Kirk, and I also have Ryan Fox. So all four of those guys. So Ryan Fox, Chris Kirk, Adam Hadwin, and Brian Harmon.
Yeah, I'm on board with basically all of that. I'm not like overly excited about this particular range. Other than the guys you mentioned, Tom Hoagie was one that I was considering, and honestly, I guess I'm not as high on this range because I'm gonna be reaching for a lot of the 6K guys this week.
Well, why don't you start us off then?
I've got literally like 12.
Yeah, so go for it, because I actually have more than I usually do. So why don't you start off with your 12, and I'm sure you'll encompass mine, but let's see what you got.
Eric with a C. Cole has been like the best statistical golfer on tour. Like he just, I understand it's a little long of a course for him, but I'm totally good with Eric Cole. I am always a sucker for Adam Svensson. He plays well in tough fields. He's actually like, he's not as long as you'd like him to be, but I do like him. I think he's interesting here. I like Joseph Bramlett. He certainly is long enough. He's a guy you take a gamble on, I think. I have Justin Suh, who's been playing terrific and is still very cheap. Again, maybe not an ideal course fit, but certainly a guy who I think can make the cut with some upside. Akshar Bhatia, Sam Stevens, Micheluzzi, Austin Eckroat, I think a little better than the names I just mentioned ahead of him, other than Cole and Svensson. And then Davis Riley, just because at some point he's got to come back to being human, right? Luke List, and then the one who's the mega chalk in Aaron Rai.
Okay, so tell me about this Aaron Rai thing because
he's just cheap.
Yeah, no, because I spent a lot of time on this morning, and then I made a note saying to redo and relook at Aaron Rai because there was 2 models didn't even have him playing. So I had to like guess at a lot of things. So I just had a little note to redo Aaron Rai. I will say this that I can't imagine playing a really super popular guy under 7K, like in general. That's just one thing. But here are my guys. I actually have 1, 2, 3 guys under 7K. Oh, 3 guys? Like maybe like 3 or 4 guys under 7K. I have like more than 10% of, which is usually more than I have. And currently none of them are named Aaron Rai. But again, I haven't looked at it yet. So my top own, just for the hell of it, at 12% is Andrew Putnam at 6,400.
Yeah, I was about to, he's the one he and Ben Griffin I forgot to mention. I forgot that.
And then the second one I have is, again, not long or whatever, but, I'll go back to Brandon Todd, have him 11%. And then I have my two initial guys. I have JT Poston and also JJ Spawn. So Spawn, Poston, Todd, and Putnam are currently guys I have more than 10% of. But I definitely want to revisit Aaron Rai. I literally don't have him projected right now because I made myself a note to double check on him. One thing I will say, by the way, I was listening to another podcast yesterday. Did a lot of digging and deep dive into some of these guys, and they're really, really sharp. And I want to touch on one guy that you mentioned, the Adam Svensson, only because you mentioned him. I don't really have that much of him, but they made a really, really good case that it's not that you used to be able to just, just when the course is short, just play Adam Svensson or whatever. And when the course is long, don't play him. But apparently, he's actually becoming like better at everything.
Better, yeah.
Yeah. So it's not just kind of like that. So if you like Adam Svensson, as you said, you might. I mean, I would not let the course deter you from it. As a matter of fact, let the course keep the ownership down a little bit, I suppose.
Yeah.
So yeah,
we've seen Svensson top 10 multiple times when he's in the 6K range, and I just feel like this is a really good spot for him. The problem so when we go through it, that's just a lot of names under 7K, which kind of leads me to the way that I think I'm gonna. I mean, we'll go through our plays here, but I think that's the way I'm gonna build. I think I'm gonna play 2 players in this under 7K.
Yeah, maybe.
Which will make him be able to play Scheffler and Rahm if I want to, or if I wanted to play Scheffler or Rahm with 2 of the 9K guys and then a couple of the 6Ks. I think that works out actually pretty well because I think like Austin Eckroat was a highly touted guy who was when he came in and then sort of just got off to a bad start, and he's been awesome lately. He looks great. There's a lot of these guys on that belong in that category down at the bottom here, and I just can't help but kind of want to stars and scrubs it a little bit. All right, and we have no Fleetwood this week, so that's he finally missed the cut. First time I played him that he's missed the cut. Yeah, I play him every week.
I think you're well ahead of. I think you're well ahead of schedule with him. I think you've done very, very nicely with him.
Yeah, he's been very good to me. I can't complain.
All right, I'm looking at the Saber Sim. I didn't aggregate for this or tweak anything, but yeah, they are showing Aaron Rai as a good as a really good point per dollar play, given this price. So we're
I would bet that he and Rahm end up pretty similarly owned. I actually think he'll be more, but I don't think it's going to be that much more.
Between him and who?
Mark Hubbard, who's also in the same price range, and he's like projected to be like 9% owned. It's like, Smalley too. Joanne says is another one that you could throw into the mix. There's just a lot of guys that I'm having trouble prioritizing, but I like usually when that happens, you go for lower owned, which doesn't usually matter in this case, although this week it does. Or you go with the upside. I like the Eckroad. I like the idea of Ben Griffin, Eric Cole, Adam Svensson. I like the idea of keeping those was my main ones. All right, Sheets, who are we playing? Who are you taking to win?
All right, how am I going to do this? So this is not going to be. I've decided that this is not going to be ownership based. I'm just going to literally just give you like my picks, like who I actually think is going to win. Okay, so I think that the winner is going to be Scotty Scheffler.
Okay, and my pick will be John Rahm. Real exciting start here.
You know what's real exciting? Winning. You know what I mean? So let's
yeah, exactly.
I'm
fine with.
Who under 10K do you have making the top 5?
Under 10K, top 5. Let me just grab my notes here. What's weird is the more I look at this, do I even want that other 9K guy? Maybe I do. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to say for top 5. You want to answer this one first because I'm a little stuck.
Yeah. I am gonna dip down a little bit just because of you know what? I'm gonna ask for trouble. I'm gonna do it. I am gonna do it. I'm going to play. I'm gonna play Sanjay M top 5.
Oh my God. Sheets.
Yeah.
Guy, every week picks him to miss the cut, and now he's got him to top 5.
I pick him to miss the cut, and then I play 35% of him. I mean, like it's.
Yeah, and then I'm going a little weird with mine too. I'm going with Jordan Spieth on the bounce back week.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. And now he was going to be my other one, by the way. That was my second choice.
That's who I thought you were going to go with. I was ready to hear it. So now we just need under 9K to top 10, right?
Under 9K to top 10. I'm going to say you go first.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
No, you go. Okay, I'm going to say Corey Connors.
Yeah. So I am going to then go with somebody I don't pick too often, and I will say Hideki Matsuyama.
Oh my God! She's just taking all of my weird plays that I usually like to do.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
All right. Under 8K to top 20. So I don't have to worry that much about chalk this week because, I mean, in general, I want to say the guys who I would play, whatever I pick, but because I'm going to be playing multiple 6K guys, and there's just almost no way that can end up being chalky unless Aaron Ryan, Mark Hubbard are like the 2 you pick. I'm going to say under 8K, I feel the best about Tom Kim, I think.
He would have been my second one.
You're going to say Keegan.
And then, no, I'm going to go with Russell Henley.
Oh, Henley. Okay. Forcing me to play Henley.
Well, he's my highest owned guy. I probably should.
Yeah. No. Of course. It makes sense. Under 7K, there's just so many guys that actually I feel like it's overloaded compared to usual. And I am going to take one of the guys who I said because I want to stick by that. I'm going to say Eric Cole because I'll feel like an idiot. I feel like a lot of people are going to feel very stupid if Eric Cole comes in top 10 in this tournament because he's sort of given us the signs every which way, and maybe it's not the right course and everything. He hasn't seemed to matter much for him. So I'm going to go with Cole, but a little nod to Svensson and all the other names that I mentioned. I do like the 2 6K builds. Yeah.
So because again we're just making the cut. I'm gonna go with the Adam Svensson.
All right, perfect.
I will go with the Adam Svensson based on the things that I just mentioned. That he is good on short courses, but he's getting he's getting better overall, and I think he's a good. I think he'll be a decent cut maker here. So it would have been between him, if you care, between probably him and the other one that's like that, like the Brendan Todd. I don't know what Brendan Todd's going to do, but I think it's always kind of a good play to kind of make the cut. So I'm going to go with Adam Svensson though. So who over 9K do you have to miss the cut? Like who are you mad at this week? Who do you?
This week, let's see.
We don't have Tony Finau to kick around anymore.
No, we don't. We got some of those 9K things right last week, I think. Well, the logical answer seems. All right, I guess I'll say Fitzpatrick, even though I have a weird, annoying feeling that he's going to end up having a huge tournament. But whatever. There's a lot of good golfers. I'll say Fitzpatrick.
All right, so I said to my son that one of the favorite things that I love in sports is watching a team, a baseball team or basketball team, whatever, close out a series on the other team's home field. In hockey and everything, to have the freaking silent crowd watch them, whatever. So just in that thing, let's go with the Jason Day in his home course missing the cut. How about that? Just for fun.
Okay. So yeah, and we talked about it a little bit. I think I've sort of talked myself into this build with the 2.6K guys because I have so much interest in so many of them, and I think that's just what I'm going to do, and that's going to allow me to do some Rahm Schefflers. I might even do some. I might throw some Rorys and some other, spend ups. I do like Cantlay, so maybe getting a little bit of exposure to he with Rahm or he with Scheffler is not a bad idea, even though I wasn't going to do that initially. Same thing with Schauffele. But now that I like this under 7K range enough to make some runs,
yep.
I think for non-majors, even in these elevated events, I'm going to be even more on that under 7K stuff because it is a little different, and I do think that you can't, no matter how much you train yourself, that there's very few guys who don't have any emotional attachment to the tournaments. Actually, Scheffler does seem like one of them who doesn't seem to have any emotional attachment to the tournaments. He just goes out there to win. But I don't know. I feel like in these tournaments, you're going to see multiple guys from the bottom of the price tiers always near the top, and I would like to get exposure to 14 of them.
Yeah, I'm looking and seeing how many of these double spend up guys ones I have. I don't have that many of them, but I have some. But in general, my builds are going to be probably the not the opposite of yours, but just kind of different than yours. I'll probably end up with how I love those pretty ones. You know what I mean, with all the 9 and 8Ks and 7Ks in there. So I'll probably have more of those, just because again I'm looking at having so much of Henley, for example. That's just very conducive to those types of lineups. So we'll see how it goes. And with any luck, we make it out of the cut sweat with more than one lineup at 6 for 6. We'll see what happens.
Extensive withdrawal apparently from Joanne. Is that real? Did that really just happen while we were on air?
True?
I don't know. I don't see it yet, but maybe.
Well, what I will say is that
then I'm not going to play him. That's what I'll say.
He definitely has less of a chance. Svensson is listed in the field as of yesterday. We'll see. You could be right.
We'll see. Yeah, I don't. Huh? Interesting.
I'm sight unseen. I'm betting on Joanne being right. That's without even.
Of course, she's always been right.
Because in a way, she probably wouldn't paste it in here unless she you know what I mean. So,
yeah, I agree.
I'm betting on her being right. So, which leads me, I guess, to my next comment is that I am going to be redoing the projections, including putting something in with Aaron Rye, and maybe having no Adam Svensson in my projection.
Yeah, it seems like that's.
So watch for those later on, and I guess that'll do it.
All right, sounds good. Good luck, everybody, and we'll be in the premium Discord. I will release my early builds in there in a little bit once I get them a little more straightened out, especially because I have to get rid of Svensson now.